denying the country getting $400 million in a year, only for him to get for the country to get 33 million, is an economic saboteur. If there were to be countries like the ones I may not mention, possibly those people would have gone on the firing squad.
The lawmakers also want government to impose a fishing holiday in water.
Goes on holiday, at least for 3 months a year. We could request government to enforce.
Earnings have dwindled to an alarming 13,000 tons. Jingo Francis.
This morning. Well, moving on, the Ministry of Health has spoken out against the ongoing strike at health centers run by Kampala Capital City Authority. The Permanent Secretary, Dr. Asuman Lukwago, says the health workers' strike that has left hundreds of people without medical attention is symptomatic of the poor management of the facilities run by KCCA. The ministry is also not impressed with KCCA's lack of communication of the strikes. As Florence Nalimba reports, Dr. Lukwago warned that the ministry could take over the health centers if matters ran out of control.
Such scenes of expectant mothers in labor and others seeking care being turned away from Kawala and Chisenyi health centers tugged at the heart of Ministry of Health officials.
Every second wasted in maternal services and even neonatal service or children's services. There is a risk posed to the life of people because we lose mothers per second.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Asmani Lukwago, argues that many of those turned away may develop a negative attitude towards seeking health care and could resort to herbalists at the expense of their lives.
When our health workers are disgruntled because of payment, they should resort to other options. They didn't write to us, for instance. They know that this ministry is an authority to take charge of health of Ugandans. Whether this health is carried out by UPDF or by police or by KCCA.
He agrees that payroll issues have been problematic countrywide, affecting all public servants. Unlike other local governments, KCCA runs the affected health facilities as provided in the new KCCA Act of 2010. The authority also took over other institutions, including schools and health centers, previously run by the defunct Kampala City Council, KCC.
We have been fairly tolerant to their suggestion. We have only not been tolerant on big hospitals like Naguru and so on, because confusion there would cause a lot of harm.
But with the ongoing strikes over delayed payment and disparities, where some office assistants earn more than health workers, the ministry is raising the red flag.
The disparity in payment can cause confusion, but we can handle it because government is there to solve problems.
Dr. Lukwago says health issues need robust management with no gaps for easily avoidable mistakes.
I've been getting some complaints from those health workers, some of them suggesting that some of the KCCA administrators are purely mechanical.
This against the reserved health workers, governed by a code of ethics and conduct. The ministry is considering a cabinet paper on KCCA's management of health centers.
We can issue a statement, a statutory statement to withdraw the mandate of KCCA over those health centers.
Meanwhile, a source at Chisenyi Health Center told NTV that there has not been much activity for the second day.
I was surprised that they are so terrorized, the health workers are so terrorized that someone even converts her voice into something. I don't know whether it was her or he.
KCCA says the money will be on the accounts of the health workers by Friday, but some of the complainants say those are delaying tactics. Florence Nalimba, NTV.
You're still watching Morning at NTV this Thursday morning. We shall now cross over to the gentleman on the other side. Good morning, Brian. Good to see you.
Mabel, and of course today is the 17th day of July 2014, and thank you so much for joining us. This morning we are going to look at some of the major stories in the three papers: Daily Monitor, the Red Pepper, and from Rwanda, the New Times. Welcome to the press review. And yes, the three gentlemen, someone was calling you the awesome threesome, which was kind of weird. Good morning, Joel.
Good morning.
Morning, Simon. Very good. Yourself? Very, very good. I can see, is it in celebration of the World Cup?
Among other things, and of course, you know, when people... That's what Parliament vowed, then his dreadlock and you know, and then married my auntie. So clearly.
Well, I'm sure, well, rest in peace to his father, but yes, this is a press review, and this morning we'll be looking at the stories that are making some of the headlines in the Daily Monitor, the Red Pepper, and the New Times from Kigali, Rwanda. And a screaming headline here in the Red Pepper: Museveni names new cabinet.
Hey, wait a minute. I need to check.
Minister of Information.
Parliament, General Jim Muhwezi, who's bouncing back to Parliament according to the Red Paper. That's information that we had at least on the vine. And we cannot have two ministers from the same constituency really uptight like this. Myself and Jim cannot be in the same cabinet. So I'm fully represented now.
How about your friend Karumba?
Which Karumba?
Your mayor. He could have been promoted or something.
Yeah.
Now,
You know, sometimes in this country, when you do like cluster work, you get promoted.
You get promoted.
Well, I think
an interesting
they would
name here. Lawrence Mulindwa. Could he
Minister
manage
for
sports?
sports,
Is that why he resigned as
Many people
FUFA
think
president?
he failed as FUFA president. Yeah, some feel he did a good job. You can get as many responses as many.
So,
people
are you saying that our Ugandan cabinet is not one where they would include people who have failed in previous endeavors? Perhaps for the most part, that is where it has become largely the dumping ground for people who have failed in other endeavors, someone can argue. So Lawrence Mulindwa being in the cabinet, I think wouldn't be a bad idea. And he would, he would play very well either in education and sports for that matter.
Yeah, because his schools are doing well.
He runs schools. I don't know how he runs them and makes them profitable, but also has been involved in sports administration. So I do not know. I mean, I'm hearing it for the first time from the Red Paper that there is a cabinet out. And well, get yourself a copy of the Red Paper and get to know who is and who is not in. But I don't think the official list has been out. I think the Red Paper has scooped State House, hasn't it? Because I remember in 2005, as I was doing one of those reportages for the Daily Monitor, I did have my scoop on what the cabinet would look like, and it was very spot on. If you read it today, it's actually the cabinet that is today. And the moment that story was outed, somebody knew that they had been scooped, so they turned round names. So I'm sorry, some members who I had put in cabinet missed out because they had been scooped.
So Red Paper is doing a disservice to some good
some people here because you don't want to scoop
Mulindwa might end
anyone.
up being what, permanent secretary or something?
Or nothing at all.
Okay, but there's good news for URA, for Uganda for that matter. URA defeats Talo in a 1 trillion shilling case. This is a capital gains tax that URA levied after Talo sold its interests to Chinook, Simon's not so good friends, and they did not want to pay this money. But after this court case, we are in things. At least we are told.
Well, I mean, today I am out to play the devil's advocate, literally and metaphorically. Now, on this show, I'm going to play devil's advocate metaphorically. But on the next part, when we go to the big story where we'll be discussing the ordination of females to the rank of bishop, I will literally be playing the devil's advocate. But let me play the devil's advocate in relation to this story. What does this tell you about the cost of doing business in Uganda? That you are never sure as a corporate entity that you will go through a proper straight line, straight jacket legal regime, tax regime, where you plan your incomes and all that. Because one moment you are cracking a business deal knowing that there are certainly no taxes to be slapped on you, and before you know it, there is a reversal on that and you find yourself dinging from what you had registered as profits. I think Talo is getting more woos than it bargained for when they came to Uganda, and this is a point of worry for many of us who operate in this country as corporate citizens at that level.
One would imagine it's because this whole investment thing is encapsulated within politics. The politicians will promise these companies that, look, we'll give you a tax holiday and that kind of thing. But URA does not get the memo, as it were. So according to them, they've got to levy the taxes. So at the end of the day, there's ping pong, so I'm sure these guys would be like, but you promised us, and then URA is saying, well, we are following the law, we've got to tax you. So I would imagine there's a lot of political infiltration.
And
which should not be the case.
Don't blame URA because
they're doing their job.
That's what they're supposed to do.
That's what the law says.
And
So if a politician promised Talo that, look, we'll give you a tax holiday, you'll not pay this, you'll not pay the other.
Someone is brokering a deal where they all of a sudden forget taxes. So my advice would be, if you're brokering a deal, probably first contact the commissioner in URA and ask them how much money will you charge, and then broker your deal. So I think for me, kudos to URA.
I think you're asking me that next time I'm contemplating, going out to disco or taking a bottle of alcohol, I must contact my local Reverend Diana Kesiga to ask whether indeed that is the right thing to do. I mean, what would you expect her to tell me, for example? So you ask URA when you're cracking a deal and you expect them not to slap on you an obnoxious tax?
But this happens under, under the desk deals. Jennifer Msi calls it a stone on the paper.
But then leave those who want to kill themselves.
We can chase both if we are competent enough to do so. Challenge is,
as you can see, shisha smoking is going to continue. I can dare Kawesi, he will not even money. He will succeed as much as the world has succeeded in making the Sahara a rainforest.
Well, in the red pepper, yesterday we got news that the Mumbere was under
Not
house arrest.
the.
No, Mumbere.
That is
was the
Omusinga.
was under house arrest. And this morning the red pepper says security has seized his passport.
Come on. Mumbere will just cross the border to DRC where he was subject, and then from there...
I mean, they're always crossing.
They're always crossing. I mean, the border is not a wall. I mean, I do not know.
But
anyway.
he's also a soldier. He knows how to escape.
He has his military fatigue and so on.
I mean, yeah, you've seen how other soldiers have left this country. Kano Kiza Westje left in, you know what? Our good friend General Sejusa did leave. So clearly, I mean, there's little that you can do about this man.
Some not so good news here. HIV reemerges in child thought to have healed. Now, there's a child in Mississippi that was treated. Doctors thought that when you give, you know, a stupendous dose of ARVs, especially at early stages, there can be healing, especially for children. But after 18 months, there is a resurgence of HIV in this young person, and it is a relapse. I think. What happened to the cure we thought we had?
Well, they were working up to an international story that is reading. I'm sure Mabel will give us some insight into that, that the world is looking closer at eradicating this epidemic by 2030. And
HIV.
Exactly. They said that the research that's going on right now is pointing to the fact that by 2030, HIV and AIDS will be a talk of the past, like we had influenza and other debilitating diseases in the past.
Because now cancer is becoming the new HIV?
That is also one of them, but HIV itself is being tackled at the highest level of research and innovation. So
that's good.
Who knows, maybe also, you know, we need, as always, you call for divine intervention, and now with the anointing of female priests, clearly you can see that to the rank of bishop, perhaps this world will get a better.
Yeah, I'm told God hears ladies' prayers well, even the men, but there you have it.
Well, creation of districts behind Rwenzori clashes. Please, I know a place like in where? How come we have not gone to attack people in Kanungu? Kanungu was part of Rukunji district. And
you have how many districts? I stopped counting.
Exactly, but creation of district does not necessarily lead to this kind of...
Because I think what goes to show for here is for each tribe, it's a small community which lives, you know, in a very small radius. They say, give us a district, and before you know it, they're demanding for a kingdom and that kind of thing.
No, we are finding so many reasons to justify the resurgence of these clashes. I'm sure soon one researcher will come and say, because the sun sets in the west, that possibly also led to the clashes in the west. I mean, let us stick to the issue on the ground, and we know what the issue is.
But this is a report. They say they have done some research, but ultimately it's this whole division.
That's what I'm asking you. Who are
divide
these?
District, divide kingdom, divide this and the other, create another.
So the
element
of ADF is now out.
Seemingly, but there are those who will tell you, look, these guys looked too organized to pull this off. They knew what they were doing. They were attacking, you know, government installations, police and Gambia, and then of course police was telling us they are just angry because it's government creating these installations, I mean these new districts and stuff. And they're thinking, really, I don't know. We will of course follow the official report.
He's a soldier, so he probably
but move on.
Some of that experience.
You did promise our viewers that you're going to review to them the new Times from Rwanda.
Yes.
They cannot wait to know what exactly a Rwanda newspaper looks like. I mean, you need to show it to them what a
actually,
Rwanda newspaper
looks
looks
cleaner
like.
than ours.
It's very clean.
Just like the streets of Rwanda.
Very white. Wow.
No, please, let us also not really be pedestrian. This is not newsprint. This is an ordinary A4 foolscap, rota trim. This is how Uganda newspaper called Muno and other little public, were published on.
But that was in the past.
Yeah, but...
so these guys are living in
Rwanda is recovering. Recovering,
okay.
yes.
So what is the headline?
Well, the headline is Kagame and Obiang push for strong African solidarity. Obiang is the president of Equatorial Guinea, and Kagame, and so they signed an agreement to make sure that
do we have together. A story, say, on, you know, in Uganda you always have stories, so on the police squashes demonstration, there is a demonstration here, there's a political contestation. Is there like a hard-hitting statement on government?
To demonstrate.
Let's check through the newspaper.
Is siblings separated by genocide and united by a stranger after 16 years.
Wow,
which is
quite a heartwarming story over there.
Interesting. You cannot find...
No, take us to what are the headline stories? Want to see what's happening in Rwanda?
I was looking
one by one. Online
civil registration launched.
For what?
For divorces and births and all that.
And all that. In
Now you have to
Uganda,
begin with
In Uganda, we do that.
we still fill forms, don't we?
But we do that.
Even for ID registration.
We do that. There's a certificate of birth.
Yeah, but when you're
certificate,
registering, is
that
it online or is it you have to go to Amamu House or what
Amamu
it used to be
House.
called Georgiana House?
And now, by the way, you can create a birth certificate for yourself and say you are 25, yet you're not that. In 48 hours.
Very good.
Nasa.
X.
A story that actually Generals Muhire and Kalimba retired. It's amazing how last year 6 generals retired from the army. This year these 2 have retired. I do not know whether here people retire are allowed to retire that fast from our army.
Oh yes, I mean General Kahindo Tafire is a retired general. You know that for a sure.
General Yoweri Museveni
Museveni is retired. You know that for a fact. You know,
General Jim Muhwezi, Major General.
General Moses Hari is retired. I mean, we are retired.
Moving on. Nyabugogo fire brings business to standstill, and of course we have seen also this playing out in Uganda, where the Owino market, and as usual investigations are still going on, but various writers are analyzing what the fire was about. Drugs and teenagers.
So we have the same problem down there, drugs and teenagers in Rwanda.
You should also ban shisha smoking and
Well, there we have it. Now, going back to the Daily Monitor on back top, on our backyard, court-martial tries 3 out of 125 accused in Bundibujo. It's a story playing out in the Daily Monitor this morning. True to their word, government is trying some of these suspected attackers in the Western region attacks by the court-martial.
Now, for Kampala dwellers, this might worry you or excite you. Your KCC is to introduce tougher city fines. Spitting in the city, littering in the city will cost you about 30,000 shillings.
Hooting and the like.
Hooting. I hope so. There are people who just do, I don't know, you know, they just enjoy their horns making noise and that kind of thing. KCCA, we hope you will implement this. You know, I don't know how you're going to do it with the spitting all over the place and so on, but it is doable.
No, all they have to do is just go to Nambole. I mean, I hope, is Nambole part in Kampala?
Nambole.
So, yeah, is it part of the greater Kampala metropolitan?
I think so.
How are these football players always spitting on the pitch? I mean, clearly, or they should go to the War Memorial Stadium, if there is anything still left of that stadium. I mean, the last time I checked, the Kivubo, every day they seem to take a little piece of land from it and create some kind of stall or mall. I do not know what's still left there. But yes, if you want to get people spitting all over the place, go to a football match. Even in Germany, they do the same.
But it's acceptable, I guess, on the football pitch, right? But some
apparently it reinvigorates them and they're able to play harder.
We're talking about football. The Daily Monitor this morning wakes up with an editorial, and the editorial reads, German shows that there is no shortcut to success. Here it is, lessons learned from the epic win of Germany, saying that there is no certainly shortcut to success. I think they're trying to use that to send a clear message to many other facets of society where people think you can only hit it once and make yourself. You fake it and make it, but with German, you have to do it, do it, do it.
Isma talks about the law of averages. You know, for example, you come so close all the time. So Germany has been at the semi-finals like the past 4 World Cups. And eventually the universe says, okay, now take it. And so they have been working from time to time.
So the next one is Netherlands, because they have always come so close. I mean, they're either in the
and
final
Argentina before Messi retires.
Argentina is...
So in that case, that means there will be certainly no African country that will take the World Cup, because they've never been anywhere close to the final 8.
Maybe Ivory Coast.
They've never been anywhere close to the final 8. So clear. Anyway,
Let's
that's a
play for
debate
Uganda.
that only Isma can give more light.
Gentlemen, so do you know how Entebbe became the capital of Uganda?
Tell us.
I mean, Kampala became the capital of Uganda.
Tell us.
You don't know? Do you know?
Well, at least I know the name Kampala is from Impala. They decided, and it takes legislation. Just like we're about to make Nakasongola the capital city of Kampala. It will go through parliament and will endorse it.
You say Nakasongola, the capital city of Kampala?
Of
Uganda.
Well, some people say Nakasongola is in the middle of Uganda. But in the New Times, find out how Kigali became the capital of Rwanda.
Wow, quite very interesting there. We would love to know which was the previous capital. Well, in My Car magazine, which is your favorite pull-out magazine every Thursday in the Daily Monitor, for you all have your toys, they are now talking about the 10 vital road signs. Driving, many of you respect road signs. But you see, for the most part, I don't understand. There are road signs, yes, and there are places where there is no road sign. Just the other day around Udiam House, I, in my usual way, looked around. There was no road sign to stop me from taking a U-turn, and I took a U-turn. As soon as I had
no
made
white
it-
armed man to stop.
Oh, they stopped me, and the rest is history. Right now, my car has no front number plate and all the other things.
So you're driving illegally.
No, and you see, the man told me, but you see, when your car is dilapidated, they look
It is a
roadworthy.
DMC.
Yeah. Then I asked him, I said, big man,
serious German
I said, Mr. Odere, does this road look car-worthy to you? I mean, yes, the car may not be car-worthy, may not be roadworthy. But do some of these roads on which you apply,
What did say?
did he have an answer? But you say this is according to the law. I said, okay, fine. Then he said, you have not paid your third-party insurance. It's just expired. Then I said, Mr. Odere, today is the 12th day of the month. Do you have your June salary? So somehow...
What do you expect when somebody says a signpost, no parking here, and according to them it is no parking here, and they go ahead and park?
So the good old Odere has my front number plate, and until he
But
comes...
I'm thinking that is wrong. I see them do it a lot. It is not right. Yes, of course, people run away. They don't pay the tickets, even though they have...
He took it away because
14 days.
he had called a breakdown to tow my car because I parked and I told him, okay, fine. I understand I made a U-turn, but I'm rushing to that ATM. Wait for me here. When I return, then we sort ourselves out to give me a ticket and all that. So I went. By the time I came back, there was a breakdown fixing what they call it, jegere under my car. Then I told him, no, whoa, Daddy.
We had a deal.
Sit in the car. Let's drive to CPS. I give you the keys. You lock me up. The man said he didn't want to hear any of that. So he wanted, I said, no. One, I cannot see the sight of a German piece of ironmongering being told by, you know.
But you see,
So
that's what
in revolt, I jumped in and I attempted to drive away forcefully. And I said, I am driving myself to CPS. Somehow, in all that scuffle, his colleague, a very obnoxious young lady called Natrina, a police officer also, was under the car pulling off the number plate. I said, fine, you stay with the number plate. I got CPS. So in CPS, I reported myself, and here I am, waiting for the tempers to cool down. It's been a week ago, but
But you see, Kawesi said that it was one because these police officers have their own breakdown services.
I suspect that breakdown service was
without a
done
doubt.
by
How
Odere.
could he,
I mean, they have
how
these
could
guys
he be
on
there
call and
that
they give
fast?
them commission.
Yeah. Timan, what way to go out? Because
Well,
you're the one who pays
Yeah,
it.
the interesting thing is I have the chijegere of the breakdown in the boot of my car. I took it.
So they have to
no.
pay you before
They'll
you
have
pay.
to.
I know I'll give it back to them and they give me back my number plate and prefer to me the charges because I know I have some charges. They, you know, the police always find charges prefer against you. And you know, I have never really feared to go and face the law when I have committed a crime. So I'm willing to go and they put charges on me, how I caused genocide on the streets of Kampala. I'm willing to face that charge and then peace can prevail.
Well,
Maybe
speaking
the
of
German guy annoying Argentinians.
speaking of your very good friend Aisha Kabanda, she decries the rot at Naguru Hospital. Since
And
it's
what is she
happening.
I
doing
don't want to
about
hear
it?
this nonsense of a leader decrying a rot. Aisha, you think we do not know that Naguru or other places are dilapidated? You think you're pitching in Nakawa to tell us that roads are bad? We who live there know that better than you. What we expect from you is action, not to come and say, I don't, these newspapers, please, Yaraba and others at the Red Paper, and these editors, Don Wanyama, and the like, please don't listen to these politicians decrying a state of affairs, which they should be fixing themselves. So if Aisha Kamanda decries the state of a road, the state of a hospital, what will I, an ordinary citizen who benefits from this, do? I mean, it is we supposed to be decrying that, you know, residents of Robert Mugabe Road decry the poor state of the road. Then we expect that Aisha Kamanda as an RCC comes and says, we will fix this or hold on until we fix the other places. This is nonsense. I mean, fellow journalists, please, let's not listen to politicians whinging and whinging over situations they have made worse.
Aisha Kamanda.
We pay them taxes. If Aisha Kamanda was decrying our failure to pay taxes, if Aisha Kamanda was decrying citizens'
Our
refusal
failure to keep the city clean.
absolutely. There I
Tweeting
would-
all over the place.
yeah, there I would, you know, attempt to listen to her. But this nonsense of going around boistering, going around with TV cameras, showing off that you're pitching cabin an area. So what?
So
I
I'm
mean,
giving
things that
an
make me
open
angry.
invitation to RCC Aisha Kabanda to
come on the big story.
Come on the big story.
And if she must
talk
come,
about-
let it not be this week because now me I'm too angry with
Too
her.
angry.
So Joel, please, you will handle if she comes this week. But next week she'll better brace herself.
What language does she, is she most comfortable in?
she's
She's
very eloquent.
eloquent,
Very
educated. She worked as a spokesperson at some point for the State House.
Yeah, but we have other spokespersons that are Kuriche fellows and Interekicho. Word of the day from a boss to these guys we're talking about. This is from President Museveni on bigoted people. I said these people suffering from chauvinism are still a big problem, and chauvinism is part of the bigger problem in the world today. It's good you're going to talk about ladies being made bishops. Okay, I hope that doesn't play out.
Joel,
And Brian,
I would love Brian, the owner, to announce this news to sports fraternity in Uganda.
So you are a Man United supporter?
No. I just want you to read this because I see you trying to ignore it, and I don't like this kind of
because
conveniently.
We don't have time, right?
Our time is up.
Well, the Van Hal of Van Gaal, depending on which Nazareth school you went to, his era has started at United, and there's a picture, big picture, being welcomed at Old Trafford by Ed Woodward.
What does he bring to United, very briefly? I know you'll talk about it with Isma.
Well, he is a very fantastic coach, and I've said it on the show that Man United, I think, if they get it right, it's going to be one of the best seasons at United.
So you've considered defeat already?
I've not considered
you
defeat. I appreciate talent.
I mean, I'm not so much of a football follower, but I just support a winning team and all that. Now, do you find football managers like Van Gaal or whatever decrying the state of poor football in their clubs?
No.
Do you ever find Wenger, for example, whinging and whining how the team has failed to win 8 trophies or 8 trophies in 8 years straight? They don't. They fix the problem. So please.
Well, not in Wenger's case. In other
he fixed the problem. What's wrong with you?
This is what I wanted to message to Aisha. Please, Aisha, and all the other leaders who lead this country, do not whinge and whine over a state of affairs that you could avoid. Anyway, close this round because the big story.
Obviously, the story of Van Gaal is making headlines across the whole world. We are both Arsenal supporters, and I personally believe that Man United will enjoy one of its
Mabel
best.
is an Arsenal supporter, then supports England. I mean, how much harder can she
get
in
in
1 year?
Mabel is constantly in hospital, waiting to have blood. But what other stories are making headlines on the international scene? Well,
starting off with sport, Brian, you may want to know that Suarez is 100% Barcelona, according to the web page here, BBC Sport, and they say they accept everyone, whether with their imperfections. And it reminds me of a song that is quite trendy at the moment, I Love You in Your Perfect Imperfections. A beautiful song there from John Legend. Well, this is Suarez here and being signed by Barcelona. Well, moving on, this is an interesting picture. This man is considered very dangerous by the US government, but he's actually in the States. And what is his crime? Internet jihad. They say he has unprecedented global reach over the internet, and now we are seeing terrorism over the internet. He has been jailed, but he could be free in about a year or so because of his jihadist propaganda on the internet. Now, Uganda police abuse street children, says the Human Rights Watch. This is the lead story on the BBC Africa page. According to this
terms and Airtel Money. Simple, secure, instant.
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu. N'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu, n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo. Yogera naffe. Buli lwakuna. Butereevu. Ku NTV akawungeezi.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We shall now cross over to Simon for today's big story. Good morning, Simon.
Good morning, Mabel. Indeed, yes, it's a wonderful Thursday morning, the 17th day of July, 2014. And today, we are talking matters religious. That's why you can see I am in a comfortable seat, one where I will not fall off my seat just in case something is said that will tip my spirit off. And like I said earlier on in the other part of the show, today I literally play the devil's advocate as we discuss the proposed consecration of ladies to the rank of bishop in the Anglican Church. The Church of England's General Synod this week voted in favor of consecrating women bishops, breaking a tradition it inherited from the first Christians some nearly 2,000 years ago. The House of Laity voted 152 in favor, 45 against, and there were 5 abstentions. The Church of England obviously does trickle down to the lowest ebb of society, and talking about Uganda, they get down to the Church of Uganda. Will the Church of Uganda follow this heed? Or will they put it at bay like they have done with the allowing of clergy that have, quite difficult to say here, but allowing gay prelates on the pulpit? That is what we'll be discussing this morning. I have the privilege to have Reverend Diana Nkesiga, the Vicar, All Saints Cathedral, Nakasero.
The Church of England's General Synod broke a tradition it inherited from the first Christians nearly 2,000 years ago. The House of Laity voted 152 in favor, 45 against, and there were 5 abstentions in the election on whether to consecrate female bishops.
The motion has been carried in all 3 houses.
It was immediately welcomed in the UK by, among others, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, who called for consensus between those in support and those against. Archbishop Welby said, "As delighted as I am for the outcome of this vote, I am also mindful of those within the Church for whom the result will be difficult and a cause of sorrow." Here, the Church of Uganda, which can make its own decision on any subject, has given no timeline on which such a decision can come into effect here. Archbishop Stanley Ntagali says, however, that the Church recognizes the contributions made by women priests since they were first ordained by former Archbishop Festo Chivenjere more than 3 decades ago.
So for us, we get along with the Ministry of Women, even ordained women, and therefore we are moving steadily well. We don't have anything to hurry, and we are not going to copy what the Church of England has done.
The Church of England's decision was also welcomed by Christians and the clergy in Uganda.
And if it is the decision of the whole church or diocese that a woman bishop be elected, I have no problem supporting that idea.
I'm excited. I'm actually very, very happy because I believe that in the ministry to serve the Lord, God calls both men and women.
They'll bring a different touch, a light touch to the work they do.
The office of a bishop is a high responsibility, calls for maturity in the spirit, calls for strong leadership abilities. And so as the church in Uganda grows, I believe those qualities will have to be looked for where they will be found.
It's a milestone that gives hope to clergy women like Reverend Diana Nkesiga, the Vicar of All Saints Cathedral, Nakasero.
I have women who don't believe women should be priests. They're there. And yet they don't mind women being engineers and now in the military, and I hope women for president as well. But it's funny, when it comes to matters of faith, people are very sensitive about the place of the woman.
For a long time, the Anglican Church has been indifferent to the idea of consecrating women bishops. A similar vote by the Church of England fell through in 2012, and that perhaps is why yesterday's vote is seen as a new sign of cooperation and trust in the Church. Conservative Christians resist attempts to consecrate women bishops on theological grounds. Back in England, the vote will be taken to the Ecclesiastical Committee of Parliament in November, paving way for the consecration of the first woman bishop by the end of this year. Moses Akena, NTV.
Well, I'm sure that story sets the debate into perspective for those of you who possibly didn't catch it or did not understand or hadn't had the wind of this deliberation on the consecration of women to the rank of bishop in the Church of Uganda. Nakasero. We saw you. Well, let me put it to you, and like I said earlier on, lands here, starts his ministry. That perhaps a show that Magdalene and the others, who the apostles,
you know, at the periphery, the periphery of breaking the mold for women. And many people know about Mary, a message or focus
of any woman who wrote later.
Mold really make a stance. You don't know whether they are for.
There's something that we come to church to.
Although he was. It's Mary's Day, specifically set out so that we can talk about a woman from the pulpit. And someone comes and talks about Peter.
Oh, can you imagine?
So with time we are growing, we are outgrowing that. We are reading wider.
At the risk of putting you on a collision course with the head of the Anglican Church in Uganda, who is the Archbishop.
Please don't.
No, I will not, but at the risk, and I hope that the risk doesn't come to fruition. The story clearly depicts him as saying, well, the Church of England has made this pronouncement. They are working within their context. The Church of Uganda does welcome this as a step in the right direction, as opposed to previous other pronouncements the Church of England has made, for example, allowing gay clergy and the like. But he falls back and says, well, this is a debate that will internally subject to our own decision-making process, and then we will see whether or not to implement it. The statement of the Archbishop is neither here nor there. But what do you make of it? That's my own reading. What about you?
Well, first of all, I want to first appreciate the fact that he welcomes the decision. It's not a decision that is being repulsed. It's welcomed. But I don't know whether it should be a debate at all. In the canons of our church, once they accepted women as priests, there shouldn't be debate about whether they should be bishops. It should be whether they qualify to be bishops, whether they can lead and do the pastoral, administrative role, and give guidance in matters of faith and order. There's actually in our canons, there's nothing that says a woman will remain a priest until such a time we decide whether they can become bishops. Actually, it says once you're the age of 45 and you have the qualities, I say, if your name is put forward, you can be chosen. So this has actually baffled me that it's a debate. And I don't want our debate, the question about women, to be put alongside homosexuality. It has nothing to do with homosexuality. That's a totally different thing, and there's a reason to debate it. But once women were fully accepted as priests, it's in the written letter. I don't know if in their hearts people have fully accepted, then there's no question about debating whether they should be.
But of course, I do not know how it's done in the church, and what I know for sure is how it happens in ordinary society and maybe even in politics. That when you feel so strongly about an issue, you make your strong feelings known in more ways than one. You can appeal, you can pray to these people, you can, for the most part, even demonstrate and agitate. I can see clearly that you're in for women consecration to bishop. The Archbishop doesn't seem to give a firm stance on which way Uganda is going. But you want it to go there. You as an individual, perhaps others like yourself. How are you going to make that position known? What are the steps available for you to make your point clear to the Archbishop or the leadership of the Church of Uganda that, hey, if you allowed us to become priests, then we must go all the way, if we qualify, to hold other leadership positions, including and not limited to the position of bishop, and who knows, by extension, the Archbishop.
Yes, demonstrating. That will be one. I think we continue to share our hearts and our conviction. Many times we feel we're not represented well, especially in our synod. We have lots of women in synod, but mainly laity. Yes, the laity. But yeah, there was a time when at our diocesan synod you'd have vicars, and you couldn't name a single woman vicar. And so we are still represented by men. So perhaps we need to put our foot in the door and get to those places of representation. And perhaps the bishops deciding that the vicar of All Saints Cathedral must be female, they are making a positive
in the right
direction. And
so there is tremendous
but
hope.
Previously, you know, at the cathedral, you have a provost who oversees the vicar.
Yes.
And so the vicar for a long time has not been able to attend synod. The provost don't apologize for it. And the long and short of it is that I celebrated communion. And after that service, the men got into a debate. All of them were sharing their experience. They said, when I saw her up there, I thought, let me walk out of the church. And then I thought, in respect to Archbishop Desmond Tutu, I'll stay, but I won't go for communion.
Do
And
you have
he
anyone
said,
stepping before the table?
And he said, by the time I said, draw near with faith and receive, he said, he just found himself at the communion altar. But Desmond Tutu did the most humbling thing. He came and knelt before me and took communion.
And everybody fell in place, just like a pack of cards.
Yes, but their experiences talking with them said that hearing the words of consecration in a female voice made me listen to them again, because I was so used to them being rumbled off by a male priest. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter what gender. I was thinking on the words and what it meant to commune with Christ through the communion. And so I found myself at the rail, and it didn't matter whether it was a male or a female who had consecrated. And so he taught me that I can scream and shout and get the publicity that I might get.
Out of that.
Yes,
Indeed,
but I will
Reverend,
be pushed on the side.
I understand fully. Reverend Diana Nkesiga, a woman of very many fasts, and indeed we only hope that perhaps when this comes to pass in Uganda, we'll see you as Bishop Diana Nkesiga of whichever diocese you'll be posted to. Time is certainly not an ally on our side. We'll leave the debate at this point in time. Let's take a short break. When we return, it will be Simon Says, but in a different forum. You'll be amazed at what's coming up next. So usually... Well, you've had this debate, and it's a debate that I say I will be following very closely because unlike Diana here, Reverend Diana, I subscribe to the Catholic Church, and the debate on female priests in the Catholic Church is more, emotive and more heated, and we have many other reasons as to why, because we have a different setting up of what our clergies ought to look like, and that is the kind of debate I am perhaps more used to and more, more of a following to. This is a debate I'm closely following, maybe to get myself educated even the more. This time around for the Simon Says, I mean, what more can I add to what the good Reverend has added? Perhaps only to ask her. I always pray for you and ask you to make your days very productive. This time around, I think since my prayers have been said for over the last 5 months, I'll ask the Reverend, who is closer to God than myself, in my view, to pray for you and bless you and ask you to be productive and, of course, be responsible people to yourselves and, by extension, for the good of this country. Reverend Diana, pray for the viewers.
Thank you. Precious Father, we just thank you for the beauty of a new day. We thank you for life. We thank you for health. And we thank you for the privilege of serving you in so many capacities. This moment, I want to lift to you the nation of Uganda and its peoples. And I pray as they go out to work this morning, your presence will be with them in a special way, that they may not think serving you belongs to priests, but each one of them will serve you in the gifting that you've given them in their workplace today. I pray that they will work with integrity, that their day will be productive, and that they will enjoy the work that they do as they bless you and bless this nation. We thank you for this day, and we pray that you continue to guide and lead us into all your truths through Jesus Christ our Lord.
Amen. I do not know about you, but I think this prayer will certainly change the way things are going to be done on my side. It better be the same for you. Have a good morning and stay tuned to Morning at NTV for more quality programming is up next. Stay with us.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Contribute to that. More inspiring, even more, this morning is just about inspiring stuff and celebrating women on the show. Uganda is ranked 9th in the whole world as in the list of countries with the highest teenage pregnancies. About 16 million girls across the whole world give birth before the age of 19. 3.2 million of those have abortions that fail. This morning we're going to meet a lady that has struggled and is working to reverse the statistic. Vivian Chitio from Crisis Teenage Center, this morning on Everyday Life. Well, thank you so much for staying with us, Everyday Life. And this morning we are meeting, wow, thank you so much for coming.
Early in the morning.
Ask you later about female.
Some ministries are pregnant from the age of 20.
Well, some of them
are getting pregnant.
Right.
Yeah, and so they drop out of school. Yeah, it's poverty, it's rape cases, it's their relationships. And of course, some of these girls are naive. They have not been told anything by their parents, and they over-trust men.
Yeah.
So they end up getting, abused and defiled and conceive.
I'm one of those people who believe I can't blame the girls so much because some of us men have dropped that responsibility of caring. So who then stands in the gap to provide the trust that they need? But at the time of reception, the girls come to your center. Tell us about what they are in, what they are going through.
When the girls walk in at the center, they maybe have been brought by, because we don't advertise ourselves, the ministry, Wakisa Ministries, is known by word of mouth. If we advertise ourselves, we would be overwhelmed by the need.
Yeah.
So when these girls hear about the ministry, they would be brought by a friend or any person who knows Wakisa Ministries, and they are so traumatized. You'd never know what a girl goes through when she finds herself pregnant, because they even threaten to kill themselves or to commit abortion. And so they are psychologically, emotionally traumatized, and they come in when they are so desperate. And at times they don't know what we are going to offer them, so they ask us if we can help them terminate the pregnancies. And that's where we come in.
So they come to you to terminate?
Some of them, not all of them. Yes, some of them do come in when they're like, can you help me get rid of this thing? They call it a thing. They don't think it's a human being in the womb. So when you sit with them and offer counseling, that's when they realize that this is a child, whether the child is unplanned, but it is a human being inside. And so with the counseling, they receive, they kind of get support and they get relieved of their trauma. But they stay there for the 9 months they're pregnant. So during that time, it's ongoing counseling, and we offer them vocational skills. Yeah, so they're coming in, they're so traumatized, and their level of stress is really, really high. As they stay at Wakisa Ministries, the level of stress really comes lower and, it comes down.
Who should be responsible for this? Because, someone will tell you, I blame the girls. They know what is right. We have preached about teenage pregnancies. We have told them the dangers of abortion, but they just don't get it.
I know. It is so sad that many people blame girls. What were you doing in this place? You deserve what you got. Why were you walking at such a time? But poor girls, they have the right to walk. They have the right to go in some places. But because men take opportunity and advantage to defile these girls, at the end of the day, it's only the girls that are blamed. But I think everybody's got to be responsible. The parents, the men who lose self-control, It is so sad. It's disheartening to know that a man can defile a child as young as 12. It is really sad, and I wish men out there could think of a woman not as a sex object, but a human being, a fellow human being. You know, a child. They should look at these people like, they should not, I mean, these are human beings like us. And I think the parents, men and women, fathers and mothers, the teachers should be responsible, the police, the government. Every person should be responsible.
Right.
And it's not about getting stiffer or tougher punishments to the culprit or the one who has, to the perpetrators. It's about creating awareness and teaching everybody what must be done to stop this kind of defilement that ends up in unplanned or unwanted pregnancies.
Right. Vivian Chicho, this morning joining us on Everyday Life, we're looking at teenage pregnancies. A lady who is defying the statistics, and Uganda ranked 9th in the whole world for having some of the highest teenage pregnancies. She's working to defy the statistics, and you can feel free to send that feedback on our Facebook page and Twitter at Morning at NTV. You can also send an SMS to 6565. How many girls are you working with currently?
Well, for the last 9 years, we have seen over 700 girls, and we can put in as many as 25 at any one time. We have a few beds, and
25 you're full.
25. Well, we have now completed a new dormitory where we can go up to 35 girls, and I really thank God for that.
Yeah.
So they come in, and these 35 will stay as long as they are pregnant. And they come from all over the country.
So you actually take care of them?
We take them
from the time
in.
That's
right.
Come in.
And they are admitted at the center, and they are given shelter there for the 9 months they're pregnant. Yeah. So when they stay, they will really learn a number of things, because getting pregnant is not being sick. And all these girls will learn vocational skills like candle making, tailoring, cookery class lessons. We do urban agriculture.
Wow.
We, of course, teach them the Word of God. We do paper bead making and necklaces, paper necklaces. And they are transformed in many, many, many ways. And these girls will never be the same. We always teach them how they can also protect themselves from getting a second pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I was just visualizing that, they can take care of me, so let's do this again.
I know.
How do you, for lack of a better word, sieve the girls that come through?
Yes, that's a
Do you
good
just
question.
take anyone that comes? Do you assess the condition? Because also, like, I could take advantage. Back in the day, send your babies home, brought it, you wake up and there's a baby at the gate. People who think they cannot take care of their children, just drop them and say, go and be taken care of. When you start, maybe 3 years, I'll come and reclaim my baby.
True.
So how do you work with that?
Very good question. We will, we have a form, like a checklist, and we have a criteria. As I told you earlier, we have ages from 12 to 19. Those are the ones that we may admit. But having said that, we always try to say, why do you want to stay here? She will tell you that I've been rejected by my parents. I have nowhere to stay. And then we contact the parents. We will never take in a girl unless there is a next of kin, because anything can happen to this girl, and then we will be in a problem with the police or with the parents. So we will always contact the parents or the guardians and say, look, there is your daughter who has come at Wakisa Ministries and she needs our services. What are you saying about it? And he or she has got to come and sign as a next of kin for the 9 months this girl will be here. And if we see that this girl is in a desperate situation I would mean that she's really rejected and resented and abandoned. And the trauma is really so high that it can cause her to kill herself or kill the baby. We need to stop that by bringing the girl in and sheltering her, protecting her from all that. Yeah.
I want us to look at rehabilitation. We talked about teaching them practical skills. Do you have girls that have turned out and, you know, what happens after the baby is taken care of? Okay, you teach them all these skills, then what?
Yeah.
Do you tell them, okay, go start a brand new life?
When we come to, during their time at Wakisa Ministries, we would invite or communicate to the parents so that they can also come.
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you Happy Hour day and night, where you get 1 GB of data from as low as 2,500 shillings. So you can download movies, video games, heavy files, video conference, catch soccer online at the lowest prices and the fastest speeds on the market. And do all you have always wanted to do with Happy Hour day and night. Another fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy Hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Dan Sali. This idea that everybody is telling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
Newsnight with Andrew Mwenda.
I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli lwakuna butereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you Happy Hour day and night.
La Patrona.
I swear this town's going down with me. I'll destroy everything, including your career, sir.
Why are you talking to that picture if I'm here?
No, you're not here. The Gabriella here in front of me isn't the woman I once knew.
I expected nothing less of you. You're courageous, like every Beltran. You're a traitor, Alejandro Beltran. How can you be next to this woman?
I'd rather be with her than with Anibal Villegas.
Anibal's a fool, a coward, a crybaby. This is just what I needed.
Calm down.
Her descent into hell has begun.
La Patrona.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. And this morning, joining us is Isma Dakabachigongo. Good morning, Isma.
Good morning. I hope you're okay.
You look well rested. Your eyes are more clear today.
Actually, last night when I set my alarm and I realized it gave me that thing that your alarm will go in 7 hours and 1 minute. I was so thrilled. I jumped into the car. Must have looked good in bits, even if he missed the best chance of the game. Probably Emmanuel Oku will have recovered from malaria, which Adebayo wouldn't. So if Emmanuel Oku is on that pitch, though the goals, for me, the bigger problem is that collectively the goals haven't been coming. Remember last week we talked about how they are not scored even in small games against a team in Mbarara, a team in Soroti, that kind of thing. That's for me the bigger worry. So it's got to be, and you cannot only blame the strikers, it's got to be a collective effort in terms of goal scoring. Probably a goal from a corner kick where Andy Mwesiga rises and heads it into the back of the net. Then the mood is lifted. Probably a goal from midfield, which Oni Maweje, for example, gave us when he scored, I think it was against Liberia, and he pulled out that jersey that had Bali Kujukira. Something like that. Probably a goal from that kind of thing would be very, very good. Now, in this kind of sense, you don't see that goal coming because the midfield didn't play well. For me, that's where the bigger worries will come, and they won't be Khalid Aucho in this game. Neither will there be Tony Maweje, and then they couldn't get Mike Azira to come in from the US because his club, Seattle Sounders, opted not to release him for this game because it's way outside the FIFA calendar. So it's that kind of thing. Where the goal is going to come from? Geoffrey Babachito, probably Moses Solia doesn't score many. Probably this is the kind of opportunity. And then I think that boy Farouk Mia, who has been getting some of the few goals that the national team has tried, should be selected, even if he's only 18 and only come into the picture over the past 1 month. So that kind of thing that Micho has to work with. But he has no time. We who go to watch the game want the result. We don't care whatever else has been happening. That's what fans and all of us are. We want the team to win. We don't care what else has happened with the side.
Yeah. And other fans who want a result are the rugby fans. Now, as the team prepares to go to Nairobi for the second leg of the Elgon Cup, what does Peter Magona have to do? What does he want from his team?
I thought in winning on Saturday they lifted a huge load off their shoulders because they had lost 5 games in a row, the national team there. But while the result was good, probably by winning by only 7 points should be a bit of a worry. Knowing that Uganda has been to Nairobi while leading by 19 points and lost. And lost the trophy because the Elgon Cup is a two-legged where the aggregate score counts. Been to Nairobi leading by 19 and lost under David Dobela, the South African coach. Been to Nairobi with a 17-point lead and lost the Elgon Cup. Now, I think there are specific areas that he was talking about that he should work on. I thought the kicking, despite Kevin McMott kicking 11 points in the first leg, I thought needs to improve a bit. When the first 2 kicks he missed were horrible. He should have probably done better. The kicking for touch was very poor. I thought the line-out routine was wrong. They just didn't get the ball in as quickly as they could. So probably those are some areas they could work with. But Uganda has not won many games away from one. For me, this is mental. For me, the biggest problem can only be mental. Uganda has won only 3 games in Nairobi. That's back in 2002, 31-22. Back in 2006, where Simon Wakabi lit up that ground in Ngong Road, and then last year, where Uganda won 17-16, only to lose the second leg at home, 18-13 to lose the Elgon Cup. So for me, Magona has got to work on the mental setup of the players. They should go to Nairobi believing they can get a result. If they do, they will get the result and carry the Elgon Cup home.
Right. Well, on to our neighbors, Rwanda. 7 Ugandans joined Abdul Sempeva for the weekend's ARC round 5. Who are these Ugandans?
First of all, I think the most significant of them is the one you've mentioned, Abdul Sempwa, because the only one registered for the Africa Rally Championship this year. And he was in Tanzania recently and collected his first point, and he has 18. He's way behind the leaders in their assistants, but at least he has something to work with. But one of those has got to be Duncan Mubiru, the one who they call Chikankane. He picked quite a name. I'd love to rename myself Chikankane at some point. Chikankane is one of those. He's going to be competing there. He didn't do well in Tanzania. And many of these are going there because they are looking forward to, there's an event coming at the Pearl of Africa Uganda Rally, which is the biggest on the calendar. So most of them are getting practice there. There's Peter Kakaire, who these days, because of the sponsorship he got from Uganda Telecom, has helped him compete a lot more than he used to, which should be a big plus for him to even venture outside Uganda and go there. There's Wycliffe of Kenya, who everyone calls Muzei. He used to be in the bikes and then changed to the rally cars.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, this guy is known for bikes, not
previously. These days when he became a Muzei, we opted to buy a Mitsubishi Evo 11, and that's the car he's using. So he should be one of those. And then there is Wilbert Polepole, is also another one of those who should be in Rwanda. And then there are reports, as the scrutineering is supposed to take place later today, that Just Mangat could be racing in Rwanda to prepare for the Pearl of Africa Uganda, and that could be a big plus. I would want to believe that having a big contingent of 8 drivers should give the Ugandans a very good chance for them of competing on the Mountain Gorilla Rally.
Now, Louis van Gaal is going to be, was unveiled yesterday. He arrived and will be giving a press conference later today, probably at Old Trafford. But 2 questions for you, Isma. 1, has he resigned from Netherlands? And 2, David Moyes, has anyone approached him for a job? I'm thinking we have not talked about Moyes in a while.
First of all, way before Van Gaal was appointed as coach of Manchester United, he had already indicated that he was going to leave the Netherlands job after the World Cup.
But he could be the coach for 2. And there are coaches who can have 2 jobs.
I think at that level you can't. You probably do that in Africa. In Europe you wouldn't. A United job is as big as any you'd find. And actually, the next Dutch coach is Guus Hiddink. He's going to take over, assisted by Ruud van Nistelrooy. Okay. So Van Gaal won't be coaching
Ruud van Nistelrooy. So Van Gaal came with Kluivert.
Yeah.
And
Hiddink
is coming with Van Nistelrooy. Yeah, someone needs to teach the Dutch how to poach like Van Nistelrooy. He was very good at that.
But they have a very good goal poacher in Klaas-Jan Hunter. He's not used as much as Van Nistelrooy, but even if Van Nistelrooy didn't do well for the national team as he did for club, so probably that's one of the other things. And there's something for the Dutch veteran coaches like Van Gaal and Hiddink, all in the same age bracket, to have assistants who are strikers. And Van Gaal now has an assistant in Ryan Giggs. But then the second question, David Moyes was approached by Galatasaray. Eventually didn't get the job. I think the job, the job was given to...
Turkey.
Yeah.
Thank God.
That's your team in Turkey?
No, he was turned down. The job was given to Cesare Prandelli, the former Italian coach. The one who helped Italy get knocked out in the group stage is now coaching Galatasaray. So that's quite something. But I think as Van Gaal is going to be unveiled today, and I've seen so many of the pictures as he came in, and with Ryan Giggs, with the chief executive Ed Woodward, is that this press conference will set the tone of what he's going to do. I think there are going to be 3 or 4 major questions they'll ask him. They'll ask him about the captaincy. When we come back here tomorrow, probably we'll talk about that. What's going to say about the captaincy, because there seems to be a battle between Wayne Rooney and Robin van Persie. The other one is going to be about the young players who seem to have stagnated in recent years. Tom Cleverley, Ashley Young, that kind of crop of players who came in recent years. What does it do with them? Then 3 has got to be how he rebuilds that backline. Yeah. We all know that Nemanja Vidic is gone, Rio Ferdinand is gone, and Patrice Evra. Those were the stalwarts who set up the United backline that went and reached 2 Champions League finals, winning 1. So it's got to be the other one.
There's a lot of work.
There's a lot of work. And probably just knowing the names of the players, because that's what Ryan Giggs was doing yesterday. Just taking him around Carrington and showing him, this is Brian Mulondo, this is Mebo Kebirungi, this is Tom Cleverley, and probably explaining what they exactly do. Because some players are even impossible to understand what they do on the pitch, although you see them every other week.
Yeah. Well, this guy, I love him for this is brutal honesty. Probably the only English player that broke the record was Steve McManaman.
Yeah.
Ashley Cole joins the list, getting out of England. I kind of side with him, but do you think this is real, that English players fear to get out of the EPL?
And I think Ashley Cole speaks from a point of knowledge that we all don't have, because he sat in the dressing room, both at Chelsea, at Arsenal, and for England. So when he says there's this fear because of they are all in their comfort zone when they are playing in England. Actually, the press conference was being unveiled at Roma. He said, for example, personally, I even feared to leave London. When he left Arsenal,
yeah, I mean, who does that? Arsenal for Chelsea.
So he had to go because he wanted to stay in London, because he's a London boy. And it says it's a fear that all English players have. And you've got to look at the numbers. They are quite staggering. In the last 24 years, only Ashley Cole becomes the 10th English player to play in the Italian Serie A. And one of them has got to be David Beckham, who went there, of course, at the end of his career, and probably went there to promote his fashion, because Milan is a fashion capital and nothing to do with the football. And you look back, of all the other players, it's got to be Steve McManaman, like you said, went to Real Madrid in the early 2000s, and then David Beckham also at Real Madrid.
But we also have this guy from Tottenham, Bale.
Yeah, Gareth Bale now, but he's Welsh and he's not English. So I've got to add that when Ashley Cole says it, it carries a lot of water, because you could almost sense, why don't English players try to go out there? But probably they've not been, clubs have not tried to sign them. Foreign clubs have not tried to sign them. But I've always thought that too, that while we all say this thing about probably if they left England, they would do much better as a team, Italians have never left their league, and there are 4 World Cup titles to show for it.
But Italy, I find the Italian league more competitive.
Probably not than England.
Really?
Probably not.
Okay, the EPL is fun.
Yeah.
But
better publicized.
Doesn't bring quality.
Or probably in the years of the 1990s, Brian, I would agree with you, because there are about 7 teams who had their ability to win the league title in Parma, in Fiorentina, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, Roma, Lazio. Those were the days. But ever since Roma can't afford the money anymore, Lazio are broke, so are Parma, so are Fiorentina.
So it's only Juventus.
It's only Juventus who can afford, and you see the margins with they win the league are quite obscene. So probably not, but I've got to think that probably the English would be better served by playing outside their country. We see what it's done for the Spaniards. They have so many players now in the Premier League. Now they could even kick.
And in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, they get more physical. They're doing things a lot more different. This thing does not hold water that probably if they played outside England, they would do much better. The Germans have always played at Bayern. What happened? Germans have 4 World Cup titles.
But could it be like a misconception, and I use that word properly, misconception that people like Brian have with other Europeans, that actually the English are not that good? So why would you get an Englishman, take him to Italy or Germany if they're not that good?
To learn how to be good.
Exactly. No, but why would you waste your time if you have an Italian, a little Balotelli there? Why would you go and now get someone else from England?
Maybe I want to say probably they are not that good, because look at all the teams that win the league titles in England today. They are all littered with continental stars. Yesterday I was telling you about a story about how Man City have 99 English players, yet they could only sign 17 of them on their roster. What's that they are doing? So you look at Man City, Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal and Liverpool. Please tell me an English player who dictates the pace at those clubs that are fighting for the league title. There are not many.
I want you to take us quickly through Formula One.
Yeah.
A fantastic weekend for Nico Rosberg. He got married.
Yeah.
Then won. And then a new contract. This guy is just flying high. Yeah. Can it get any better
and the
for
World
him?
Cup.
Yeah.
And his country
won.
Yeah.
And he's been all over Twitter because he's one of those who is close to some of these players. He was, actually, before the World Cup, he was shooting an advert with some of the German players where they had that accident somewhere in the Ruhr Valley. I've got to think that Nico Rosberg is probably living not only on cloud 9, on cloud 11. Because he had his wedding in Monaco the other week and posted a picture of this extremely passionate kiss that is totally not for conservative Africans like we are. And then Germany do win the World Cup and he gets a chance, I think, to take a picture of the World Cup trophy. Now he has a new contract at Mercedes. It can only get better if Mercedes win at home this weekend. They've not won the German Grand Prix in 70 years. And you should know that Nico Rosberg failed to finish in the last event. That was at Silverstone where Lewis Hamilton won. His teammate beat him. So it's got to be extremely important for Nico Rosberg to win this weekend at home.
Well, this morning we also hear that Liverpool were defeated after Suarez exited. So I would say...
Are you happy about that?
Yes. They were too stupid to let him go.
I don't think they had any
You suffer the media, bashing, and get back to winning ways.
I don't think they had the power to have him for longer than they did. But last night, I think it was largely a second string side, and people will read into these results even when they don't count. And Brian, you yesterday told me something that I always believe in. Winning is a habit just like losing. And some of these results probably about the losing habit. But against Brøndby last night, Liverpool beaten 2-1. Actually, the winner came after the 90th minute because it was deep into injury time. But that was a second string Liverpool. I only saw, I think, Daniel Agger, Lucas Leiva, and Felipe Coutinho, because the rest of them were bulk of the players from the reserves and that kind of thing. So, and I thought it was also their first game of pre-season, and they were never going to do as well as everyone would have expected because they are still probably a few weeks off the other teams. I'd probably want to watch them closer to the season and see when everyone is back from their holiday, Gerrard and Henderson, who I thought had a fantastic season, and probably look at some of these new players they've signed, Adam Lallana, Ricky Lambert, Emre Can, and Lazar Markovic, and see what they're going to improve with this team. But that was a disappointing performance and result for Liverpool.
Well, Ismail will hook you up with some more details at 1:30 p.m. on Mumuli with Lumansi and Alan. And of course, someone is requesting Lumansi to come. So please try and get him here.
Would he be already
He's
awake
probably
at this
sleeping
time?
at this time, but yeah.
No, he's a very responsible father.
Yeah.
He probably has breakfast with his children every morning.
Okay.
Do you have
It
breakfast?
doesn't mean you're not irresponsible if you don't have breakfast with your
No,
father.
it's one way of showing
That
being
you're
responsible in this era of the smartphone.
Yeah. So he'll be here, and every Monday.
I'll be waking my children up at 4.
Sports bar at 10:30, and you have breakfast with them.
Yes.
And you can catch those two shows and get more sport. Before we go, your African proverb. Silent while laboring, but when the baby is conceived, she cries.
The mouse is what? The mother now?
The mouse is silent while laboring. As it eats away your newspaper, you can't hear it. But the baby is crying while it's born. Wow. That's as straightforward.
The baby mouse?
No, the baby. Probably.
The mouse is silent while laboring. But when the baby is conceived, she cries.
Now, I don't know if this is related to this, but there's a gentleman who has proposed to his madam in the newspaper. So probably he has been silent all this time.
He has been a mouse.
Yes.
Now
and now he puts
a
it in the newspaper. Olivia Katusimeview or somewhere. Please say yes. Beautiful letter here. So probably he has been laboring in silence.
So this is the Olivia.
Yes. And he wants her to say yes.
Emmanuel Tugume.
Yes.
This generation, eh? This generation of mice and babies.
This guy is setting, really, this is very hard for men.
That is very good. I would say yes.
Okay, I'll take a picture of this and post it on my Twitter at MBGold and on our page. Let us know what you think about this man. Someone proposed at a concert. What if the girl says no? But I guess you can't
Brad,
be a
I've got to
like
tell
that.
you, it's extremely outrageous. Is this because I'm too conservative?
I proposed in a restaurant.
I look at some of these ideas and I'm thinking, come on, let's all be mice. I'm a mouse myself.
Be silent.
Yeah, be silent while you do your thing. I'll be too concerned with proposing in a national newspaper.
You just say, come home with me.
Come on, Emmanuel. Good luck. Olivia, say yes, but I would never do it.
All right. Be daring today. I think it's awesome. Emmanuel Tugume did that. Be a risk taker, like my friend Ann Kansime says. And to all the ninjas, thank you so much for watching the show. We'll catch you tomorrow. Facebook and Twitter are open. Bye-bye.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulundo.
NTV, turning on your world.
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you Happy Hour day and night, where you get 1 GB of data from as low as 2,500 shillings. So you can download movies, video games, heavy files, video conference, catch soccer online at the lowest prices and the fastest speeds on the market. And do all you have always wanted to do with Happy Hour day and night. Another fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy Hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you Happy Hour day and night.
La Patrona.
I swear this town's going down with me. I'll destroy everything, including your career, sir.
Why are you talking to that picture if I'm here?
No, you're not here. The Gabriella here in front of me isn't the woman I once knew.
I expected nothing less of you. You're courageous like every Beltran. You're a traitor, Alejandro Beltran. How can you be next to this woman?
I'd rather be with her than with Anibal Villegas.
Anibal's a fool, a coward, a crybaby. This is just what I needed.
Calm down.
Her descent into hell has begun.
La Patrona.
You can download movies at the lowest prices another fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy Hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.